I am trying to figure out how this works. This is the first time that I've done this, so we will see how tonight goes. But I'm super excited. And I'm just going to give everybody a couple minutes to pop in. I just shared the link on Instagram, so I'm hoping that will bring some more people in. And got this pulled up. All right. So I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes and then we will get started. Making sure my phone is charging because that's what we are recording on. Okay, I'm going to talk to some people while we're waiting here. And I'm trying to see how I see the chat on my computer. There we go. Okay. Hello, welcome to the show. Hi, Amanda. I'm assuming it's Amanda. I'm super excited. This is first ever virtual live show, and tonight's going to be a lot of fun. I know some people are not able to be here tonight, so they're going to be watching later. So to answer anybody who was wondering, yes, this will be up later on YouTube, so you can always hop off if you need to watch it later. I don't know if I'm going to post the audio on the podcast because I haven't done this before, but I know that this will download to YouTube. I did test that. So Lauren, this is my first ever virtual live show. So we're doing question and answer. I'm reading some listener stories, and we are doing merch giveaways tonight. So it'll be lots of fun. And Courtney, you're on as well. Hi, Courtney. I'm so excited you guys are here. I wanted to shout out Scott as well, who is a patron because his birthday is on Monday, I believe. So happy early birthday to Scott. And he is out celebrating his birthday tonight. So he is going to watch later on YouTube. But I hope you had so much fun celebrating your birthday. And thank you for supporting. And no, this is not about coding, Lauren. I'm sorry to disappoint. So I wanted to just let everybody know, as everybody's hopping on, next week I'm going to be releasing a Patreon leak because I have been super busy this month and we're going out of town and a bunch of stuff like that. So it's going to be a little bit different of an episode, but it'll still be like a full episode. It's a Patreon leak. So I hope you guys enjoy that. I also wanted to let you guys know that I have, I think it's 7 new merch designs that just dropped. I just haven't been talking about them. I wanted to announce it on here, but they're really cute and I'm really excited. I have like a cute like ghost one. I have some cryptid ones. I have some hats that I've had on there for a while. So as I'm doing giveaways tonight, if you win a t-shirt, it is any t-shirt of your choice, including the new merch. So that's exciting. And if you don't win tonight, but you still want some merch, check it out on Bonfire. That link is in like every episode description that I post on the podcast. It's also in my like flow code link. And if you use the code summer15, you'll get 15% off at checkout. So there's that. And let's see. Trying to catch up with the comments too. People who win giveaways tonight, and I'll try to remember to say this throughout the episode tonight, but people who win, be sure you're following me on Instagram, which is Perplexity Mystery Podcast, and send me a message letting me know that you won. Let me know what item you want, because like if you win a hat, for example, there's a bunch of different designs. So go on Bonfire, pick out what you want, and let me know your address, please, so that I can place those orders for you. And everything is in batches, so if it takes a while to come in, I apologize in advance, but it will come, I promise. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you like the shirt. This is one of the ones that is being sold tonight. Uh, Thank you. Glad y'all like the setup. Yeah, this is for those of you who just like listen on the podcast and don't get to see this every week. This has been my setup since Halloween, and then I just liked it so much that I kept it. But these are all objects that I bought on Etsy, and I love them. So, yeah. I have 5 listener stories this evening, but a couple of them are pretty short, and then I've got some Q&A. So I'm going to dive into those without further ado, and then I'll talk to you guys throughout the night as well. Okay, so the first couple questions I got were from patrons because I released this information to them before. And the first question I got was, have you seen any cryptids before? So, no, I have not seen a cryptid before. I would be open to it. Think it'd be pretty cool to see Bigfoot, but no, I have not. And then they also asked what my favorite cryptid was. So I think I'm going to have to go with one that I've covered on the podcast before. So I really like Sam the Sandown Clown, if they count as a cryptid. He's just like a goofy little guy. And Gobble Squatch is also a really fun one, the one I covered for Thanksgiving. He's a giant turkey. So, Mary, do a poll. Do a poll for what? Yes, I know Donald Trump got shot. I am aware. As far as Q&A goes, I also was asked if I had any childhood stories. So tell them about any childhood stories that you have. Those are always interesting. So it is interesting actually, because I haven't had a lot of like paranormal experiences happen to me in adulthood, but when I was a kid, I had some interesting things happen, and maybe that is part of like what inspired me to start this podcast, because it's like the unknown. So I think the biggest one that stands out that happened to me personally was when I was really little. I was in my room. It was nighttime. I was in bed. I was probably like between 4 and 5, and there was a shadow figure in the corner of my room. It was like floor to ceiling in height, and it was just kind of staring menacingly at me. And there were also some like little orb figures that were just moving around the room. And I remember screaming for my dad because I didn't know what was going on. And he told me that, because we were religious growing up, he told me that it was probably Satan trying to get to me. So I remember I wasn't scared after that. And like looking back, I just think it was a really cool experience. But the orbs were like moving around the room. The best way I could describe them is like they were probably like no more than this big around. And it looked like if you stared at a light for a long time and then you looked away, it was just like this kind of bluish purple changing orb. But the shadow figure was scary. Luckily, I never saw anything like that again. So, yeah. Amanda, I am drinking a ranch water. And oh my goodness. Okay, Believing the Bazaar is on. Howdy. I'm so happy y'all are here. It was so much fun recording with y'all. Okay, so the next question was what got me into the spooky stuff. Was there something that happened to you early in life that made you a spooky girl? So, yes. Like I said, the paranormal experience I had as a kid, but also my birthday is on November 4th. It's very close to Halloween. So every single year, I have this nostalgic feeling because I used to have a lot of Halloween parties as a kid. And we also watched a lot of true crime shows in my house growing up. We were a CSI family. Investigation Discovery, like my mom especially was super into that stuff. I also grew up around theatrical arts, and I did theater in high school, so I think that is what got me into spooky stuff. Yes, I am a Scorpio. Make of that what you will. Okay, I loved this question, and I remember specifically this was from Claire. So, Claire, if you are watching, shout out Claire because this question made me laugh so hard. And I still don't really know how I'm going to answer it. I'm just going to kind of wing it, but it was F, Mary, Kill, and it's cryptid based. So, we have Mothman, Bigfoot, and Nessie, the big three. So, I I think I would have to sleep with Mothman because he's mysterious. He knows things, you know? So you're like, who's that guy? I want to know more about him. um, I want to know what y'all think about this question too. Let me know in the comments. I think I would marry Bigfoot, right? Like he would be smelly, but he seems super loyal. I think you could depend on him. Yeah, right? And I guess that leaves Nessie to kill, which I feel horrible about because I am of Celtic descent and I love some Loch Ness monster, but I guess that's who's left, isn't it? So Bigfoot probably gives the best hugs. I believe that. Yeah, I think he'd be a cuddler for sure. I think he'd be a big spoon. Yeah, it could work out. He probably travels a lot, so I would have to like have some hobbies, but I think it could be good. I know, I'm sorry. Not Nessie. Okay. So Amanda said Bigfoot, Mothman, Jersey Devil. Ooh, okay. Yeah. I could see like the Bigfoot and the Mothman being switched around for sure. Okay, so another question I got was what about the paranormal interests you? And I feel like it's the concept of the unknown, right? Um, like I mentioned earlier, and I feel like I've talked about this at least on other podcasts, I grew up in a very religious household. So I grew up always thinking one thing. And then when I became an adult, those beliefs changed. I still respect them, but I am agnostic. And there are things that me, family, and others that I know have experienced that I just feel like can't be explained. And also doing what I do now for a living, I'm a medical speech language pathologist. So I work a lot with the brain. And I think it's really interesting, like learning that tie or potential tie between the brain and the paranormal. So I think that's why the paranormal interests me, is it's just like I've always loved mysteries, and I think that's such a big one. Have you ever done an episode on Japanese oni? No, but I have a little notebook here to keep notes throughout the night, and I love requests, so I will write that down. I don't think I have heard of that, so I will look that up. Bigfoot is giving don't touch her book talk vibes. Oh my gosh, hello from South Korea. That is so cool. Welcome. Okay, so next question. When it comes to true crime, what type of cases are you drawn to? Uh, I feel like definitely disappearances and unsolved cases draw me, and those are very hard to talk about, but they're important to talk about. It's again very mysterious, like what happened to that person, where's the justice? So I think those kinds of cases are what draw me in. And we are going to be doing our first giveaway of the night, everybody, in just a little bit. So stay tuned for that. Got just 2 more questions. Are there any types of cases you will not cover? Why or why not? Okay, so I don't really know how to word this, but there are some particular true crime cases that I know that I would never cover. Like, if you follow true crime and you are familiar with the Toy Box Killer, that is a perfect example of crimes that I would never cover. Like, ones that just have so much torture for no reason. Uh, I don't know if that makes sense. That may sound bad to some people, but for my own mental health as well, I think that's something that cases like that are hard for me to talk about. I have covered ones involving children, and those are also very hard to talk about, but I think they are important to talk about. So, and then the last question I got was, do you do paranormal investigations? What places have you been to or would you like to explore? So, no, I have never done a paranormal investigation. I am open to it, but I think it would be good to, number one, get equipment because I don't have any equipment, but also I would want to go with somebody. And my fiance, TJ, is not into the spooky. And I don't think he would be open to going. I think if I pushed him enough on it, he would support me. But I I think if I did do that, I would get some equipment, and the first place I would go to is probably the Driscoll Hotel if you can do investigations there. Because for those of you who don't know, I live in Austin, Texas, and the Driscoll is one of the allegedly most haunted places in Austin. And I'm familiar with the history there, so that would be a cool place to go to. Looking in the comments, Courtney says, are you reading any paranormal books right now? Any recommendations? Sort of. So I just finished reading Ocean at the End, or I'm almost done. I have like a little bit left, but it's Ocean at the End of the Lane, I think is what it's called. And I started reading it because they are going to make a movie about this book based on, or it's going to be inspired by Coraline, which if you guys see my background, I love Coraline. That's one of my favorite movies. So I was like, okay, I have to read this book. And it's really good. I would give it probably 4.5 out of 5 stars. It's got some witchy and time travel vibes. And yeah, I've been really enjoying that. Other than that, I've been reading the A Court of Thorns and Roses books, and that's obviously more like fantasy based, but not really reading anything else right now. I love getting book recommendations though, and recommendations for things to watch. So just putting that out there. If you guys have any recommendations for me, you can always send those to me. I would love to check out whatever you guys recommend because y'all know what I like. Oh, Duncan is in the chat. Guys, Duncan's my dad. Everyone welcome him. He does my voiceovers for my episodes at the beginning and the end. That's him. He does voiceover for a living. So everybody say hi to him. And he would totally go with me on a paranormal investigation. If you guys want that, let me know. We can set something up. San Antonio has one of the most haunted hotels in the USA. Okay, noted. I will have to look that up. Okay. So we are about to get into giveaway question 1. So I want to let everybody know that each giveaway tonight is going to require that you answer a question. And you have to answer the question correctly. So we're going to see who knows Perplexity. So, first question. Everybody ready? What was the title of my very first episode? And what year did the podcast start? So you have to answer both correctly, and whoever answers first will win some stickers. What was the title of my very first episode, and what year did the podcast start? I'm going to read some comments while I am waiting for you guys. Thank you, Patrick. And I'm going to grab some stickers too, so I can show y'all really quick. Okay, so Amanda answered 2022, but I am still waiting for someone to also say what was the title of my very first episode. So you've got to answer both first to win. What was the title of my very first episode and what year did the podcast start? So these are the stickers that are going to be given away tonight. These were both designed by yours truly. This is the design that I'm wearing right now. This is the 2023 original design, and this is the new one that came out this year. Okay, Rosato, you got it. Yellowstone Nightmares 2022. I am going to write you down. And Rosato, please send me a message on Instagram letting me know that you won, and please give me your address so that I can get these stickers to you. Congratulations. How's everybody doing? We having a good time? Okay, I also, before we get into the second giveaway question, I had a couple of things I wanted to ask you guys. So I want to know, what is your favorite episode of Perplexity? I don't get to engage with you guys that much. So I want to know what y'all's favorite episode is. And then I was also wondering if there was like a story or a topic that you have not heard on the podcast that you would want me to cover. Specifically because my 100th episode is going to be here before we know it. So what do you guys want me to cover for that? And keep in mind, if I stay consistent, I did not do this on purpose, but my 100th episode is going to drop Halloween week, which is so cool. So it's going to be something spooky. So hit me with it. The cult episodes are always very interesting. Okay. I have a cult episode coming out very soon. Stay tuned on that. And then also, if you guys have not checked out the Patreon yet, there is so much cult content on there. So much. I've covered like 3 different cults in multiple parts on there. But I do love a good cult. Anybody have a favorite episode? And then I also was curious what made you guys, like, how did y'all hear about the podcast? Because every once in a while I'll hear somebody who I had no idea listens. It's like, oh, I listen and blah, blah, blah. So it's always cool to like find out how you guys learned about it. I loved when you exposed Yogi T, more scandalous secrets. That was a really popular episode. I got a lot of really positive feedback on that. Although I will say, this is funny. Okay, so sometimes I get mean comments, right? Like that's just the nature of what I do. I really have gotten used to it pretty quickly. And it truly, I would say 99% of the time does not bother me. And this was one of those times. Okay, this is just funny. So I got a comment on my Yogi Tea video. I think it was a short. And it was just some random guy who was like, who cares? And I was just like, a lot of people, actually. So you just have to laugh when people are trolling. King Tut and the Curse of the Mummy, Lake Lanier. Ooh, Lake Lanier. I love that episode. Gobble Squatch was hilarious. I'm using Patrick's account right now because I have to. Y'all are cracking me up. I like the history episodes too, because when I first started this podcast, I didn't know much of anything about history and I didn't know if I'd be super into it, but this podcast kind of made me get into history more. And it's been really fun. I like learning new things every week. Okay, y'all. So, hope you're ready. We've got giveaway question 2 now. Okay? Giveaway question 2. This one is for a mug. I've got 3 different designs on the shop that you can choose from. So, Gonna give you guys the question. This one is also a two-parter, okay? So if you don't know the answer, you can always do a little looking up, okay? So first question, what alleged murderer does my family have ties to? What alleged murderer does my family have ties to? And then the second part of the question is, who had an out-of-body experience in my family? Who had an out-of-body experience? So you've got to answer both parts. Whoever answers first wins a mug. I like the no sleep stories. Yeah, those are very easy to prep because like they obviously don't require a lot of research. I do those a lot on Patreon as well, just saying. Upset I don't know this. Part 2 is not my sister, but it is someone in my family. So there is a hint there. So what alleged murderer does my family have ties to, and who had an out-of-body experience in my family? We should do a tombstone trip to Arizona. That would be fun. Check out the ghosts. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you a hint. So the alleged murderer was named in episode 2, I believe, of the podcast. So if you don't know, go look that up real quick. Dad, I appreciate that. If no one else guesses it soon, you can just guess and I'll give you a mug. No, it is not my grandma. I talked about the out-of-body experience, and she sent in a voice memo and talked about it in episode, I think it was like maybe 11. A freebie for Dad. Yes. Okay, so it's episode 2. And who had an out-of-body experience? It's someone in my immediate family. And it's not my sister. So who does that leave? And if nobody gets it, that's okay too. We'll just jump into listener stories. Not Mama Brannon. It is Mama Brannon. Okay, I still need the name of the alleged murderer my family has ties to. If you get that, you win a mug. Episode 2. Look it up. Episode 2. Okay, so while y'all are figuring that out, let me get my first listener story ready. This is from Stacy. And Stacy is also a podcaster. I'm sorry if I'm remembering this wrong, but I believe Stacy is from the Early on Wednesday podcast. And she is also in a podcast, like kind of support group with me called The Trailer Park. So thank you, Stacy, for sending this in. And then after that, we'll hear a quick listener story from Jackson. And Jackson discovered Perplexity from TikTok. So he had some cool stuff to say as well. Okay, let's see. We still don't have an answer. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading this listener story. Okay. So Stacy says, when I was about 10 years old, my aunt called my mom one night saying that she had seen a strange light in the sky zipping around. We all loaded up in my aunt's Ford pickup truck and followed that light all over Modesto, California. We watched it zip off and disappear. The next morning, 10 o'clock news talked about a weather balloon in town and how everyone was freaked out. My aunt said then, and still says today, 40 years later, quote, that was not a effing weather balloon, end quote. Yeah, Stacey, it sounds like you saw a UFO. And correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Modesto a UFO hotspot? Patrick is from California. He might know. Colin Davis. Yes, Shayna, you got it. So, Colin Davis, and then my mom was the answer to that question. So, for those of you who don't know, Colin Davis was a man who, he's still alive, I think, but he's old. He allegedly killed his ex-wife's boyfriend and tried to allegedly kill her. This happened in Fort Worth, Texas. And sorry, it's been a long time since I've talked about this, so I'm trying to piece everything together again. The reason my family has ties to him is because Colin Davis was really good friends with my grandparents. So, yeah, they used to do like ministry stuff together, which is interesting. So, yeah, that's a crazy story. If you guys have not heard that, episode 2. And my mom had an out of body experience, a very vivid one, where she was sleeping at night and came out of her body and was like able to describe everything in the room, the exact position my dad was sleeping in. And then she like shot back into her body and woke up, and my dad was laying in the exact position that she had seen him in when she was hovering above him. So I have her talk about that in my out of body experiences episode, and I want to say that's episode 11. Okay, so this is a quick listener story from Jackson. Jackson is from Norwood, and he has 2 experiences that he shared. So Jackson says, one night when I was little, as I lay in bed trying to sleep, a wispy-like noise awoke me. I opened my eyes and saw a strange creature. It was hard to tell what color it was because it was dark in my room, but looked to be round and about the size of a basketball, with many appendages that looked like dreadlocks or flowing tails all around it. The appendages were thick at the base and got thinner to a point all around its circumference. I felt mesmerized by it. It didn't seem dangerous. It just floated around my bedroom for maybe a minute and then disappeared. I have no idea what it was. Maybe you or your listeners can help. I still cannot explain what I saw. I am so sorry, Jackson. I have no idea what that would be. It's interesting. Like, obviously, we hear stories of orbs floating around, but I've never heard of one with, like, appendages. If you guys have heard of that, let me know in the comments. Maybe we can help Jackson figure out what this would be. So sometime later, Jackson had another experience when he was older, and this was while he was riding the bus. He saw something strange. So he says, I once saw a fairy while on the bus. At first, I thought it was a dragonfly, but then I saw it had little human-like legs. It was flying around, but I only saw the fairy for a few minutes. I felt like it wanted me to see it. I could tell it wasn't a dragonfly because it looked like a tiny human. End quote. Tyler, Charlie, Believing the Bizarre. I don't know if y'all are still on here, but I just know Charlie would be so excited about this because he is the resident Fae believer. That's crazy. What is a fairy doing on the bus? Where are you going, girlfriend? Can't you just zip around where you like? Okay, so let's see. I've got a little bit longer of a listener story, and then we will get into potentially some more giveaways, but we'll see. It seems like not a lot of people are on right now. I don't think so anyway. If you're on, let me know in the comments. Okay, so this next listener story is from Mel. And Mel sent this to me a long time ago. I've been saving it for the live. She sent it to me in a TikTok, though. So it was a video. So I've typed out the dialogue to read. I thought it was a really interesting story. And she sent this to me after my fairy episode, which was a really fun one. So she has a fairy experience. So Mel says, when I was about 13, my mom had me go do the laundry tours, like pick up all of the dirty laundry. I went into her bedroom and was picking up dirty clothing off of the floor and put it in the laundry basket. I picked up a shirt, and from underneath it, I saw a soft, glowing ball of light. But it clearly had legs and arms and wings. And there was a light emanating from it. The ball flew from underneath one of the shirts, bounced around the room, and out an open window. I freaked out and ran to my grandfather, who is Blackfoot Native American. He assured me it was just the little people that are in Appalachia, because this was in way backwoods West Virginia. He took me later that night and we sat at the wood line, a little after dusk, and we saw them weaving in and out of the trees. You could see the soft glow of their emanating light through the trees. He explained to me that they protect the forest. They can be a little mischievous, but you just respect them, and you don't disrespect the Fae. When it comes down to it, the Appalachian Mountains are actually tied to the same mountain range that is in Ireland and Scotland. When the world was one continent, Pangea, they were connected. So it's kind of cool, right? After that experience, I painted Fae for many years. They were kind of my inspiration, and I have a lot of really well-known artwork that is fairies, end quote. I love that story so much. I think fairies have so much lore. They're so fascinating. So thank you, Mel, for sending that story. I am going to check one thing really quick, guys. Give me 1 second. Okay, just making sure the camera still looks good, guys. This is my first time doing this. Okay. So, let me write down really quick so I don't forget. So, Shayna, you won the mug. So, Shayna, I'll try to remember to send it to you. My bonfire merch link. Just pick out whatever mug you want and let me know which one, because I already have your address, obviously. So, okay. So it's time for giveaway question 3. This one is for a hat, and I have tons of hats, different colors, different designs. I have some bucket hats. I have some tie-dye bucket hats. I've got the ball caps, the trucker hats, all that stuff. So if you want a hat and you know the show, get ready for question 3, okay? So question 3 is, what was my 50th episode about? What was my 50th episode about? I'm reading your comment, Shayna. Aw, born out of bubble foam. That's so cute. I love that. I love cute, like the innocence of being a child, right? And just believing things like that. Like, I used to think that broccoli was little trees, and those things like, oh, if you eat a watermelon and the seeds in you, you're gonna get pregnant. Like, just weird random things like that. Okay, so giveaway question 3. What was my 50th episode about? If you're not sure, go look it up. You get a free hat. And they're really cute, guys. I like the hats. They're also new. Like, I just released those not too long ago. Jessup, am I saying that right? Jessup says werewolves and witches. Yes, that is correct. My 50th episode was about the Salem witch and the werewolf trials. Jessup, you win a hat. Let me know which hat design you want. Tell me on Instagram and send me your address, please. Writing your name down. Yay! It also reminds me of the Peter Pan quote about the first baby's laughter breaking into a million pieces, and that was the birth of fairies. Oh, I don't know if I knew that. That's really cute. I love that. Okay, I'm super excited because this next story is a listener story from Jessie. Jessie also found me through TikTok, and this is about La Lechuza, who I covered recently. Super creepy, fun Mexican folklore story. And Jessie may have had a La Lechuza experience. Let's see. So Jessie says, my name is Jessie, and that's about all I want of my name being out there. Respect, fine. I heard your podcast through TikTok about La Lechuza in South Texas. I wasn't aware there were so many stories in my local area. You see, I am Mexican American. My family immigrated not too long ago from a larger Mexican city. People here in South Texas are usually rancher folks with lots of tall tales I wasn't really raised with. That being said, it wasn't until I was in university that I met someone who told me about La Lechuza. In your podcast, you mentioned that many people in this area saw a large bird, but local authorities dismissed it as a condor or another large bird. I can tell you with absolute certainty that what I saw was nothing of this earth. In 2007, my family had just moved into a home in Corpus Christi, Texas. The home was located next to a drainage ditch that was quite deep. Oh, that's always so creepy. That reminds me of It. That ditch connected to a nature wetlands preserve. So whenever there were major storms, the water would drain away to the wetlands. Well, one day, there was a very sudden and very scary storm. If you're from the South, you knew green skies usually mean tornadoes. So I ran inside preparing for the worst. When the storm finally cleared, our power actually went out. I ran outside to see if anyone else had lost power. It seemed the whole neighborhood had. But what's more interesting is to my left, where the ditch was located, there was the biggest bird I have ever seen. Immediately, hell to the no. It's reminding me of like can you imagine just walking outside and like a black big bird, like Big Bird from Sesame Street, but black feathers is just like like no, immediately no. Oh, that's so creepy. Also, if you guys listened to the La Lechuza episode, they often cause storms. They disrupt weather. So as soon as he said that, I knew some shit was going on. Okay, so he keeps going here. Growing up here, birding is a very popular activity. My brother was a huge birder when we were younger, and I was 13 at the time. Down here, I'm used to seeing herons, egrates, pelicans, vultures, hawks, etc. I was also a Boy Scout, okay, and very comfortable in my ability to identify wildlife. Needless to say, I was not doubting what I saw. This bird was as tall as my father, probably 6 feet. Its wingspan was like that of a car. The bird was maybe 50 meters away in actual distance. So to say that it was a large, or to say that it was large is saying something. Oh, I see what he's saying, because it's so far away and it's still so massive. Yeah. The storm had stopped and everything was wet, and I could see lightning in the distance. When this bird flapped its wings, I heard thunder. Ooh, spooky. It was deep brown with 2 legs that were very large. Egrates and cranes have very skinny legs. Vultures and hawks don't fly with their legs out. There was this electricity in the air. I've never experienced anything like it, and I've since driven through hurricanes and tornadoes. This energy was scary and thrilling. The bird was flying away from me, so I never saw a face or head. All I can say is that I've never seen anything like it since. I immediately ran inside and told my mother about it. And she she dismissed me as exaggerating a vulture or something. It was quite common to see them and egrets in this area. I don't know what I had seen. To me, it reminded me of the Pokemon Ho-Oh, H-O-O-H. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up this Pokemon because I don't know what the Ho-Oh is. People around here have their legend of the Lechusa. Maybe it was some dinosaur or an undiscovered bird. But what I will never forget is how its wings flapped and thunder rang. The energy in the air that's never been matched. It's incredible. End quote. Oh my gosh, that is so creepy. Wow, what a story. You can just like picture it, you know? Okay, also, I'm gonna look up what this Ho-Oh looks like because now I'm curious. Ooh, it looks like a firebird, but he said it was brown, so I'm assuming it's more of just the look of it. It has like a little crown on its head, a pretty sharp beak. He's serving looks. Yeah, that is very creepy. I'm surprised I didn't know what the Ho-Oh is. Maybe it's a newer Pokemon, because I only know like the OG Pokemon. I do have, speaking of Pokemon, Snorlax. He makes noise too. Or he used to. Oh no! You guys! Oh my god. His little voice thing stopped working. He used to say Snorlax and make like a growling noise. That makes me sad. But look how cute he is. I love him. I also have over here my Fresno Nightcrawler, which is included in one of my t-shirt designs. I made a couple of t-shirts that say, "This isn't my first rodeo. This actually is my first rodeo." Some different ones like that are cryptid based, and he's wearing cowboy boots with a cowboy hat, and it's really cute. So if you guys want one, go check out Bonfire. I need to buy some too. Okay, how we doing over here? Y'all are quiet in the comments. I need to catch up on my drink. I've had like 2 sips. Hope you guys are having a good night tonight though. And seriously, like, thank you guys so much for even just checking out the live tonight. I know it's a Saturday night. People are busy. So thank you for sitting in and supporting. And then for those of you who are dedicated listeners and have shared the show with people, just know that that means a lot to me. Thank you for doing that. And I'm going to say now that when I first started this show, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, like how much work it was going to be, but it has been very rewarding. And I'm learning a lot about myself. I feel like I've become more confident in myself as a person, and that is largely thanks to you guys. So thank you so much. I'm really curious to see where the podcast goes in the next year. And it's really crazy that this week I released my 84th episode. Like, that's just crazy to me. And that's not including all the stuff I've released on Patreon. Will you stream more often and on other platforms? I would be open to that. Yeah. I really need to figure out Twitch, like, really badly. It's been crazy, though, trying to find the time. But I was thinking about streaming for my Halloween episode, or one of the Halloween episodes. I thought that would be fun. So if you guys would like that, let me know. But yeah, I would be open to streaming more often. I have gone live on Instagram before when I'm like cooking dinner just to talk to you guys, but I haven't done that in a while. Okay, so I have, I believe, just one more. Yeah, one more listener story. It is a sleep paralysis story. And then I have one final giveaway, and that one will be for a t-shirt. So this listener story is from Alex, and Alex sent me a message on Instagram requesting that I cover stone tape theory. So I covered that, did a whole episode on it. And then he told me about this story and how he had written about it on Tumblr, which flashback to Tumblr, so nostalgic. And he shared it with me, so I wanted to include it in this episode. Live stream a paranormal visit. Rosado, that is definitely something that I want to do. I have talked about that before with my fiance and how I would like to go to like different paranormal places and do live streams or make vlogs, things like that. So hopefully in the future, that is something I can do. I would hope that the show grows a little bit more before I start like going to places, buying equipment, and doing the live streams, just because it is a lot of work on top of what I'm already doing. But I do think it would be fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I am open to doing that. So who knows? We'll see. Okay, so let's read this last listener story. This is from Alex, and Alex says, when I was about 18 or 19, I experienced multiple bouts of sleep paralysis. For the sake of time, I will only tell the two craziest. The first time was potentially the most terrifying. As you can imagine, having never dealt with it before. I was asleep, lying on my back in the pitch black of my room. I woke up to the sensation of someone sitting on top of me. No, absolutely not. I'm getting goosebumps as I write this, as it's so vivid still. From what I could feel, it was a person. That is, I could feel its legs. Oh my God. On either side of me, straddling me. Its hands were on my shoulders. I don't recall it applying any pressure or actively holding me down, but it wasn't exactly unmenacing in its position. Yeah. Can you imagine? It's just like a friendly, like, hey, what's up? Just saying hi. Like, no, that's menacing as hell. For whatever reason, call it confusion or being half asleep, I reached up with the strength I could muster and felt its face. I didn't move as I ran my fingers across its nose and mouth and eyes. Oh my God. Nor when I felt its forehead. This was the part that stuck with me the most, as it was the strangest comparatively. Its forehead protruded a substantial amount beyond the rest of its facial features. It was similar to that of a Neanderthal, but even that does not begin to describe it. I'm not sure how I got out of the predicament, but as soon as I regained my senses and made the connection of what was going on, I made a beeline to the light switch across the room. Nothing was there when I turned back to my bed, now fully illuminated by the ceiling light. The next occurrence was similar. Okay, before I read this next occurrence, oh my God, like I've never had sleep paralysis, but I know who the night hag is, and that's what this sounds like to me, because the night hag is known for sitting on top of you. Absolutely not. Shayna said, check, please. Yeah, I'm out. I would check myself into a psych ward because I would be so scared. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Alex at all. That is not what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, if this happened to me, I would be like, I need to go to a psych ward because I'm going to lose my mind because I just experienced this. You know what I mean? Okay. So let's hear what happened next. The next occurrence was similar. I awoke to find this thing on top of me, vaguely holding me down. However, I got a bit ballsy. I started punching it. I'm not normally an angry person, but I wasn't about to let this thing get the better of me again. You best believe, Alex. Get out of here, bitch. Yeah, also the feeling the face thing earlier, that is like classic horror movie. I could feel its panic, quickly moving about, looking for a way out. Oh, so she's a little puss. Okay. It was then that it crawled upward and It was then that it crawled upward and over my head, almost like a giant spider. I hate this. I hate this story. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight, Alex. It disappeared without hesitation into the wall at the head of the bed. Then I ran for the lights. Again, nothing. Both of these times, I always found myself in the same position before I could get up, / while it was happening. So I can very much say it wasn't just a vivid dream. I am now 31. It's been 12 years since this happened. I've slept with the lights on since. I told my dad a while back about the experience. He is dead set on the belief that our family has some sort of sixth sense and can, with practice, communicate with whatever may be trying to get a hold of us. Apparently, they're attracted to us because they know we can. At least I know he won't say I'm crazy. He told me that around the same time he had a similar experience, but it was trying to smother him with the pillow he puts over his eyes while he sleeps. Our rooms are right next to each other, mind you, with the wall at the head of my bed shared with the wall of his room. Oh my God. Alex, I really hope you don't live in this house anymore. And if you do, you need to burn it down. Or get a priest in there, because Jesus. My dad went on to say this was all potentially because my mother was taking psychic classes with her cousin at the time. She seemed to be bringing shit home with her, but was protected by pre-seance protection rituals and prayers while we weren't. I have tons of other stories from over the years, so I may write back periodically if you wish. End quote. Oh my God. Are you kidding me, Alex? That is so creepy. I hate that. But yes, I would love if you wrote me more stories. Yeah, you guys can always send me stories, no matter how big or small you think they are. I promise I want them. And also, just to be completely honest, y'all, when you send me listener stories, it makes my life so much easier. And here's why. You know how y'all like when I read Reddit stories? That doesn't require hours and hours of research, typing up a script, picking out pictures, thumbnails, putting videos together. It requires so much less work. And the stories are still really engaging, right? So when you guys send me listener stories or when I read Reddit stories and stuff, it is so much easier. Like, it's way less time. So I love when y'all send me listener stories. And also when I need a little bit of a break, I can just do a listener sode. So please, please send me listener stories. You can send me as many as you want. Shayna says, wait, but what up with those psychic classes though? Yeah. Yeah. Um, I mean, there are societies for psychical research that are in like various cities all over the US, all over the world. So maybe she was going to something like that and still learning. And like he said, she was protecting herself. But if something had attached to her, it wasn't affecting her, but she could have brought it home. Because remember, spirits often haunt people, not places. And so, since the family wasn't protected, it would have made them vulnerable. And, you know, we're way more vulnerable when we're sleeping, right? That's like when we're the most vulnerable. It sounds like this thing was not very brave, though, because as soon as Alex started punching it, it was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. But it's so creepy that it like crawled like a spider and crawled through the wall and was attacking the dad as well. Ugh. Really, really creepy. I have a love-hate relationship with that story. Okay, guys. If you're still with me, we got one more giveaway. This is the big one, quote unquote. It is a t-shirt. Like I said at the beginning of the live, I have tons of t-shirt designs, including 7 new designs that I just released like a week or 2 ago. You can pick from any of those designs. If you win this giveaway, just let me know which one you want and let me know your size, please. And then send me a message on Instagram with your address and I will get that to you. So without further ado, giveaway question number 4. Who was my first guest on the podcast? And what did we cover? Who was my first guest on the podcast? And what did we cover? If you guys get stuck, I will give you a hint, but I'm going to give you a few minutes. This is so much fun, guys. I'm glad you popped on. First guest. This was a really fun episode. I feel like I need some elevator music in here while I'm like waiting so I can just dance around. Who was my first guest on the podcast and what did we cover? Carlisa, right? Yes. Carlisa was my first guest. And what did we cover the first time that we recorded? Because you got to get both right. Also, I don't know how much this mic is picking up, so I'm sorry if I'm like drinking and swallowing into the microphone. Okay, so who was my first guest on the podcast? We've got Carlisa. That is correct. Bloody Mary. Okay, she got it. Okay, Courtney, soccer chick. You won a t-shirt, Miss Girlfriend. So send me an Instagram message. Let me know what shirt you want. Let me know what size you need and put your address in there, please. And I will get that shirt to you. Congrats, Courtney. At first, TJ said don't say her name. At first, I thought he meant Courtney. I was like, what are you talking about? But he's talking about Miss Mary. Is that why people weren't answering? They're afraid to type her name? Guys, it's if you say her name 3 times and you gotta like spin around to be in a mirror. So you're okay. You're good. Okay, so Courtney, you won the t-shirt. Okay. If anybody has any other questions you want me to answer, pop those down in the comments. I would be happy to answer those and chat with you guys for a little bit. If not, that's fine too. But if y'all have any questions you want me to answer, or if you have any topic requests for future episodes, pop those into the discussion as well. While y'all are doing that, I am going to give my call to action here. So, as I mentioned earlier, this podcast has been so much fun. I love doing it. It is a small independent podcast and I'm very proud of it. So thank you guys for coming on tonight. And if you have not done so, please, as soon as you get off this live, I need you to do some things for me. If you're going to continue to be on YouTube or you just want to support, please hit the subscribe button. If you listen on Apple or Spotify, or you have either of those on your phone, computer, please go leave a 5-star review. The reason that podcasters really emphasize this is because that is the only way that this show gets put in front of other listeners. It literally boosts it up the algorithms. So before I was a content creator, I was bad about it as well. I didn't understand why it was important. I didn't leave reviews. I know that now. So please go do that if you haven't. Other things that are very helpful, tell someone about the podcast. Word of mouth is another great way to get the show to other listeners. So share it with a friend who loves dark history, who loves true crime, who loves all things mysterious, because I talk about all of those things. You can buy some merch. If you didn't win any merch tonight, use the code SUMMER15 at checkout because you'll get 15% off your order. There's lots of cute stuff on there. So that's on Bonfire. And if you really, really want to support the show, go check out the Patreon. You can join the Perplexed Society, become a Perplexed Society member for as little as $1 a month. If you join at the $1 level, you get ad-free episodes and any other content that I feel like releasing. I do early release stuff sometimes for that. You'll also get a shout out. You'll get a letter from me. And at the $3 level and above is when you get exclusive bonus content. If you join at the $5 level, you'll also get some stickers. If you join at the $10 level, after you've been a member for 6 months, you get a t-shirt. So when you do that, it helps me pay for equipment, things like that. My patrons mean the world to me. And so with that, I wanted to shout out my mom, Amanda, Claire, Scott, and Ash. Those are my current patrons. So thank you guys for supporting the show. That means a lot. And I hope that the Patreon grows more in the future. I'm going to pop over to the comments now, see what y'all are saying. What are your future goals and plans for your podcast career? That's a good question. It's hard. I don't know because I don't really know where this show is going to go. Like listen, if I could dream big and tell you like what I would want, I would love for this show to be a success. I would love for these shows to, like these stories to get out to people. I would love to build a community of people that love all things spooky and also love and support each other and are kind to each other. I would love to build awareness of important true crime stories that are often untold or maybe not told respectfully and accurately because I take my research very seriously. I would love to do real live shows, which requires you to be a very large podcaster. So who knows? But that would be amazing if I could actually do a real show someday. Um, I am doing some more guest recordings in the future, and I'm not going to say with who yet, but I have a very exciting recording coming up with a big podcaster who is very successful and he's super cool. So I'm looking forward to recording with him. Yeah, I'm excited to see where this goes. And for the most part, the internet has been very kind. So that has been good as well. The YouTube has just been going for like the last year. Like the YouTube channel is still relatively new and it has by and large grown the fastest versus podcast platforms. So that's been really cool to see. And people who do come across the show are always very nice and they often say things like, "Wow, this should have more views. Oh, this is a really good video. Wow, I'm surprised more people don't know about your show." So that feels good. That makes me feel like I'm doing something right. Yeah, I'm curious to see where it'll go in the future. Shayna, yeah, you gotta be like in a mirror, right? I mean, I did a whole episode on it. If you go on WikiHow, they'll tell you. They'll tell you how to play Bloody Mary and how to summon her ass, and that is what they say. So we're okay. What is your favorite type of mystery? Aliens, ghosts? Definitely paranormal, I would say. Cryptids are cool. I've gotten into them more. They used to be my least favorite, but I've gotten into them more recently. I really like the paranormal. I find it very interesting. I also like psychological stories. Like I did an episode. It was like a medical mystery episode. We talked about Cotard's syndrome, which is a syndrome where people believe that they are literally dying. They call it Walking Dead syndrome as a nickname sometimes. So like they literally believe they're rotting from the inside out. It's like a type of psychological issue. And if my memory serves, it's often caused by changes to might be the parietal lobe or the temporal lobe. Like they would often find growths in those areas of the brain when people would have Cotard syndrome. Cotard syndrome is very rare, but I think psychological mysteries and paranormal are probably my favorite. What future episode are you most excited about? I'm constantly looking, I feel like, at the here and now. And I do have like a fun episode coming up that I'm going to be recording with a guest. And that is a paranormal episode. It's also like a dark history episode. I don't want to give anything away, so I'm not going to say what it's about, but I'm looking forward to that. And that is going to be recorded with Like Mother, Like Murder podcast. So that'll be fun. What are some of the most memorable moments you've had while creating a podcast? That's a good question. I think one of the most memorable moments is for sure when I first started it, like when I first recorded. I still remember being at my house in Little Elm, not knowing what the hell I was doing. I had a blue Yeti mic. My fan was running. I had no soundproofing. I didn't know how to edit. So I was pausing like I'm talking now, but when I edit in real time, I cut it now. So it sounds much tighter, cleaner. I have audio presets now that I do. So everything sounds more professional. Back then it was OG Perplexity. I didn't know what I was doing. So that's definitely a core memory of just like the first time I ever recorded. But I do like listening to those episodes. Like sometimes I'll just go back and listen a little bit to just see, number one, see how far I've come as a content creator. But also I could tell how nervous I was in those earlier episodes. And so now it's like cool to hear back. Another favorite memory would probably be recording with my sister doing the Bloody Mary episode because she was my first guest. That was so much fun. I have a lot of good memories from the show, and a lot of them are from guests that I've recorded with. Recording with Believing the Bizarre, doing the Dawdleston messages. That was very cool. They are a very successful podcast, and they were so nice. I was very nervous to do that recording, and it went so well. So I think, to kind of summarize that question, one of my favorite things about doing this that will always be like a core memory for me is the support that I get from other content creators. The podcast community is surprisingly supportive and nice, and the internet isn't always a nice place to be. So that's been really, really nice. Oh God, TJ is asking me questions. That's my fiance, everyone. Okay. So this is gonna start something. TJ said, how do you pronounce concan? Okay, story time, everybody, because I never told this on the podcast. Do you guys remember my Garner State Park episode? Okay, this is the first episode of season 2. We talked about Garner State Park in Concan, Texas. I said Concan. Okay, it's spelled Concan. Whatever, right? Nobody said anything rude, like my listeners, but I made a TikTok about it. Turns out there's only maybe 200 people that live in this town, okay? I am convinced that all 200 of them saw this TikTok and were gunning for me, bro. Gunning for me. They told me that I should never podcast again. Someone called me it's funny now, but someone called me a thin-lipped colonizer because I said the word wrong and it is like a Spanish word. It was wild. Like, the comments I was getting, that was the first TikTok I ever had that went somewhat viral. I had somebody stitch my video and make fun of me. Like, they green screened me in the background. It was crazy. It was crazy. So that's what TJ is referring to. Are you ever going to do a reality TV podcast? Okay, so I've joked about this with TJ. As Shayna knows, and Shayna said, sign me up. Girl, don't tease me. Me and Shayna, we love our reality TV, as does Amanda. I don't know if Amanda's still lurking in here from DTK, but if I were to podcast about anything else, it might be reality TV. I think I could talk a lot about Love Island, The Traitors. I may lose some listeners for this, but the Kardashians. I could talk about it, okay? So who knows? Maybe. Let's see. Okay. Y'all are awesome. I think that's all of the questions. So yeah, guys, this was so much fun. I'm going to wrap this up. Like I said, please go leave a 5-star review wherever you listen. If you haven't, tell somebody about the podcast. If you really want to support, go check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Perplexity Mystery Podcast. And I am going to plan on doing a live sometime in October. So stay tuned for that. I think that's going to be like a full episode, like my normal layout, unlike today. But this was so much fun. Thank you guys for coming on. If you are watching this later on, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about this. And yeah, y'all are great. Thank you. And now I have to figure out how to end this live. So thank y'all so much. I hope y'all have a good rest of your night. And I will see y'all on the flip side. Bye, everybody.